Halftime with 30 minutes to go here on a Wednesday. And we go to the phones where Bill King joins us. He is the king of college football talk and hosting on Nashville Sports Radio 6 to 9 every day. Bill, how you doing today? What's up? I don't hear him. You there, Bill?
I'm right here.
There we go.
What's happening, guys? How you doing?
We're good. Well, you know, this was supposed to be right next to the start of SEC football practice. The league yesterday said, wait a couple of weeks, and we'll give you 6 weeks to practice before the start of the season. Good move by the SEC, something that they really didn't have a choice to do. What's your thought on this pushing practice back?
Yeah, I mean, the PR end of that is you're not allowing the coaches to – and there are limits, 20-hour rule limits, 14 in the beginning and all of that. So you can't just run them in the dirt like they could back in the day when you could have 3-a-days. But it's a good PR move, and it's probably – I mean, this is a long haul between when they announced this, about 2 months, when they announced it to the first game. And I think some of these rules put in place are pretty good, actually.
You saw UConn cancel their season. Now, I don't know if that affects the SEC at all. I don't think it will affect the SEC. But it is the first FBS program to cancel their season. And I wonder what your reaction is to this.
Well, first of all, UConn is back to being an independent. They were in the AAC. And they had literally, because of conference-only agreements with other leagues, they were down to like 2 games. 1 game in September and 1 like later in November. Plus, that area is a hot spot. So I think all of that combined just led them to this decision. It's also maybe the sorriest D1 football program in America.
Then there's that.
They were going to be power rated actually a little better than last year, and that's 125 out of 130. Mm-hmm. They're terrible. I mean, they are god-awful. So, again, back to the point, though, various reasons why they came to this conclusion, but basically one reason is they didn't have a whole lot left.
Yeah, I thought that a lot of it had to do with the fact that they weren't going to be able to put a schedule together, and there's this 14-day quarantine once they leave the state and come back.
Right.
I think it was too many factors into one, and I do think there'll be some other schools that face this. I wonder what you also think about these lists of demands and concerns that have come out individually from Pac-12 players last week, Big Ten players. Over 1,000 of them, I guess, put together a unified statement that was put on the Players Tribune today. There's different sets of demands from each side. Some of them sound like they might be realistic, others not so much. But this really is the first time that I can remember a collective voice of student-athletes together on any issue.
This is being run by a former UCLA player who's been the one behind the unionizing and all of that. So this is carefully orchestrated. These aren't the players. These are people behind the scenes giving them the ammo. Because the time's pretty good to be asking for demands. I don't think they get many of them, if any. But why not? Why not try it right now? But I'm furious over it, guys, because the media is perpetuating this lie that's told and repeated to the point where people think it's true that they don't get anything. That is 180% or degrees opposite of the truth. They get school. They get room and board. They get the best food, and it's not limited anymore. They get the best medical attention. They get the best weight training. They get the best academic support. They don't have to wait and drop an ad to get their classes. And, guys, they get cash money in their pocket called full cost of attendance. So a big lie is being spread every day, and nobody wants to oppose it but maybe me, which is irritating as heck. If I'm the universities, I don't give them anything. I give them what they're getting, and if they don't want to play, don't play. That's my stance. Now, will they do that? I don't know. But that's what I would do.
Speaking to Bill King here on Halftime, Bill, now kind of keeping with that for a second, what the Big Ten or what the Big Ten players are doing, what do you think about what the Big Ten is doing? Because the Pac-12, while it seems more maybe financial from an aspect, it kind of seems to me what we've talked about with the Big Ten previous in the part of the show, it's more health-related than anything That's kind of how I understood. What about what the Big Ten has come across and said today?
Bill, we found it funny. There was a Twitter follower that said, look, the Pac-12 players have asked for $150 million, which is unrealistic. Big Ten players just asked for
Safety.
family access to the Big Ten network,
Right.
and we had to laugh at that.
I saw that. I mean, but that's good. We'll give you that. I mean, we'll make that concession, sure.
Sure.
But the when it comes to the medical angle, I can see their point there. Now, some of what I've read is they want medical considerations if down the road, well after football, it's discovered that they have some COVID-related problems that were lingering or something. And I see that. I see that point as far as protection. I don't know if they'll get it, but I don't think of all the demand, guys, and all the irritating items that they've listed, at least irritating for me, I think that's pretty reasonable. And they'll probably get something out of that, I would think.
And you're 100% right, because when the Pac-12 came out with theirs, I kind of echoed the same sentiment, not necessarily the lie that was being spread, but you go to college,
Right.
You're a student first before you're an athlete. You go to get an education while also playing football. Yes, those are different kids, but that's a different argument for a different day. You're 100% right. Want to shift it away and just kind of get your thoughts on what do you think the college football, one thing we haven't really heard from is the college football playoff committee, how we're going to pick the best 4 teams to be in the college football playoff. They've said to be working on protocols and different things like that of how they're going to go about this. If you're the head of that committee, Bill, what are you going to look at this season without these interconference matchups, and how are you going to put your Final Four together?
You're already mentally, if you're on the committee, and again, like I've told you, nobody will ever admit this, but you're already mentally, you already have your preferred list. And it's real chalky, and we don't need to go through the chalk because we all know. But if that chalk, well, comes in Ohio State, Alabama, Oklahoma, Georgia, whoever, if the chalk has better records, they're going to get in. There's not a magic elixir where a long shot gets in, unless they just decide we're going to do this just because we think it'd be interesting to throw a curveball. I don't think they'll do that. So you're basing everything on conference only. The SEC's the best league. And, for example, if they do go with the roll-in teams, which they have not told us they'll do that or not, when they add the 2 extra games, Florida will add Alabama and A&M, again, if they go with that, which means add that to the already list of Georgia and LSU, et cetera, et cetera. So they got brutalized in this, if indeed that's the schedule we'll get to see. But, yeah, I think the committee will continue to be chalky. Be long-winded there, but that's what I think.
Let me ask you a quick question based off of that. When you hear, and Bill, I saw Bill Hancock said, I think the way that they're going to do this is use the eye test. Do you think when you hear the word eye test, it's really a euphemism for chalk?
Well, he may not mean it that way, but that's the translation.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the true translation there. I mean, if Clemson, who's going to be Clemson? They'll probably have to, they're going to play Notre Dame once because it's already on the schedule. They may play them twice because they're going to go by in the ACC winning percentage, not divisions. Nobody in that league is going to beat them. There may be a close game or two. They'll have a close game every year with one of those teams, Syracuse, NC State, Notre Dame this year maybe. But, I mean, Trevor Lawrence and they win their games. What more does the committee need? Justin Fields. Ohio State now gets to play in Happy Valley with basically hardly anybody there. That's huge.
Yeah, it is.
Let's have some fun with this last question here, or last one for me, rather, and then I'll pitch back over to Phil. They've been giving me a hard time today, Bill, that I have never had oysters here on National Oyster Day. I've never done oysters.
Wow.
So, okay, well, that answers that question.
Bill's with us.
Bill's with you. What am I missing with oysters? Because I've heard some great recipes today, but it's a delicacy that I've never had.
Right. I mean, I don't. If I'm at a table and they dish them up, I'll partake. But you're not missing anything. There's really no taste. It's just like putting a big wad of slime down your throat and drink a little beer after. That's about it. Now fried oysters are a little different. But if you're just eating raw oysters, that's what it feels like.
That's what I was afraid of.
Bill, you're the grill master. Haven't you had the grilled oysters before? They're so good. They're very tasteful. You can put all kinds.
You know
of
what? I'm sure I'd like them. No, I'm sure I'd like them. But no, we have not done that yet because I know my kids. I got one kid who doesn't like ice cream or shrimp. How about that?
Well, that's an odd combination. That's right. Although
That's
I've
weird.
never
Yes,
had
that is
I've
odd.
never had a dish with the two of those in the same dish. Bill, we'll leave it there. Always appreciate talking with you. Thanks, ma'am.
Thank you, boys.
Thanks, Bill.
You got it. It's Bill King. So he was with us at first.
Did he?
He'd never eaten oysters. Then he was with you on the thought that maybe you probably won't like them.
He just rolled right down the middle of it.
He did. He went. Bill's not a down the middle of the road sort of a guy. He's not like me where I'll dance around the subject and give you all different angles. He just went. He went my direction for the first time.
You know where else you can go? But this is warm right down my alley. You can head over to Buffalo Wild Wings. Fantasy football is almost back in session, so you can stay saucy and give the draft party what they want, and that is Buffalo Wild Wings. Fantasy food bundles are awaiting you for your arrival. Dine-in or takeout is also available. And did you mention basketball? The Bubble Bundle, starting at $29.99. You can head to B-Dubs right now, cure your cravings, watch the magic happen on the wall-to-wall TVs. Don't wait up. You can find Buffalo Wild Wings at Fort Smith, Little Rock, Conway, Jonesboro, and at Sherwood. Buffalo Wild Wings. Hurrah!
We'll come back after the break. Change my mind.